Hey guys, Ivan here, and in today's video we got a couple of interesting bodybuilding updates. The first one is, well, from Andrew Jacked, but it's not a physique update. It's just a couple of photos of Andrew Jacked at almost 1 week out of the Arnold Classic, and in his last update that I made a video about, he really didn't look like he was getting in any kind of crazy conditioning. It was like 2 weeks out and his face still looked pretty swollen, and what we saw from his physique didn't really look that conditioned, that shredded. But in this physique update, it's kinda starting to look a little bit different. He's actually starting to look a little bit drier, and you can see that in his face, in his arms and shoulders, and also like in his entire physique. Even in this shirt that he's wearing, you can still see that he is starting to get a little bit flat, which is a good thing for sure. At 1 week out, you should not be looking blasting full in a t-shirt, because if you look great in a t-shirt, you look big and full and huge. Usually on stage, those guys don't have the best condition. You kind of have to look flatter, at least at 1 week out, if you are truly in shape. Now, do I think Andrew Jacked is going to bring his, let's say, Arnold Classic 2023 conditioning? I mean, it would be really good if he did, because that was his best conditioning on stage. But guys, this was exactly 2 years ago. Does he look the way he looks right now, size-wise? No, absolutely not. You can see it very clearly that here he was a lot smaller than he is today. His arms have pretty much doubled in size, and everything else grew. Everything, I mean, legs, chest, back, everything really. So with this new added size, if he nailed the conditioning the way he did here 2 years ago, that would be a really dangerous package. If he actually shows up like that, how well would he place? Would he actually be able to go against, to compare well, or to beat any of these two Mr. Olympias, the reigning one, Samson Dauda, and the former one, Derek Lunsford? I think it's a possibility, definitely. I mean, I probably wouldn't bet on Andrew Jacked to do that, because he is not exactly known for consistency. He nailed it a couple of times, especially at the Texas Pro and that one time at the Arnold with conditioning. Maybe he wasn't super full, but he was good. Other times, all other times pretty much, he kinda missed the mark. Now, his track record shows that he was able to bring it to the Arnold Classic. Maybe he has an issue with Mr. Olympia because the pressure is too high, and that's why he messed it up every time. I mean, last year, we all kind of thought that he was going to bring this to the Mr. Olympia, his 2024 Texas Pro package. If he was like this on the Mr. Olympia stage, I think he definitely wouldn't have placed as low as he did. I'm pretty sure he would have at least beat Martin Fitzwater and placed 4th. And maybe, I would say probably, he maybe would have leapfrogged both Derek and Hadi. Maybe he would have been compared to Samson Dauda for that first spot at the Mr. Olympia, if he was like this, and if he perfected his side pose. I don't think, I mean, he definitely has a size issue from the side, that the thickness is really lacking, but I think he can definitely fix it with posing, and if he just sharpened up the conditioning from the back slightly, just a little bit, in the glutes and the hamstrings mainly. I mean, we'll see what he's going to bring in the Arnold Classic this year, but let's assume he brings something like this. Let's say he comes in this kind of condition, slightly sharper possibly, with better posing, especially the side poses, and maybe a little bit bigger as well. If that is the case, I'm pretty sure there is a strong possibility that him and Samson Dauda are going to be in that top 2 call-out, fighting for the title. I see it. I can see that for sure. But again, I'm not convinced that Andrew is going to deliver, because he rarely does. But does he have the tools to be in that top 2 to fight for the title? I think so. I think he does. What do you guys think? Tell me down below. Alright, so next up we got a little physique update from James Hollingshead. Now, we can all agree that top 3 is pretty much reserved for those 3 guys: Andrew Jacked, Derek Lunsford, and Samson Dauda. Pretty much, I say, so not 100%. Like, we were all pretty sure that Andrew Jacked is going to be placing above Martin Fitzwater. Actually, I was pretty much the only guy that was actually having Martin ahead of Andrew, but I couldn't have known that Andrew was going to be so off. So I was lucky, really. And as far as this Arnold Classic, if these guys are pretty much on, those three guys are going to be the top three. Now, as far as the fourth spot, that's when it becomes interesting. We have guys like Brandon Curry, William Bonek, Carlos Thomas Jr., Sean Clarida, so many great guys, and one of them that is possibly going to be fourth is definitely this guy right here, James Hollingshead. So he posted a reel, and basically at the end of that reel and in the thumbnail of the reel, there is this one photo. He kind of didn't want to show it to us, but he showed it, I caught it, and here you go, guys. You can see his conditioning right here. I think it looks like he's going to be probably in his best conditioning of his life. I think that's a strong possibility. Now that he's working with Stefan Kinzel, I think they're kind of nailing it. I think so. And as far as the size, I think he's going to be as big as he can be. And again, this is right now, and we are 1 week out of the Arnold Classic. So he should be a little bit on the flatter side, on the smaller side. And once he actually completely dries out and carbs up, back up, he's going to be much fuller, bigger, and at the same time harder as well. If the peak is done right, if he actually nails it, I think he's going to be a lot better than this. I think he can be like 30% better than this. You know, fuller, rounder, and more conditioned, harder, more detailed. But this, I think this is probably the best I've seen James look at 1 week out of any show so far. From what I saw, as far as the other poses, I think he kind of changed the way he's doing a couple of poses, and he does it much better now. And I think that's because of Stefan Kinzel. I think Stefan really figured out how James needs to pose to look his absolute best. So I am expecting the best version ever of James Hollingshead at the Arnold Classic. I think he's going to be at his absolute best. But best case scenario for him, I would say it's top 4. You know, and if he does that, that's a huge achievement, guys. I mean, you can't expect him to beat Derek Lunsford and Andrew Jack. I mean, like that 1 year, he was kind of close to Andrew Jack at a UK, Arnold Classic UK, I think it was. Yeah, it was Arnold Classic, I just found this photo. Martin was in the mix as well, and he kind of pushed Andrew a week before, actually 2 weeks before at the Texas Pro that year, but Martin was way off at the Arnold Classic, and this was not Martin that we know now. You know, he improved drastically since then. So at this show, actually, James was third. He wasn't second, and second was Patrick Johnson, who kind of retired from bodybuilding, I believe, because of some health issues. And James, I believe he prepped himself for this show, and he looked massive, man. He was full, he was round, he was huge, but he wasn't in the best conditioning ever. He kind of smoked Andrew with size, especially of the legs. Overall, James was a monster at this show. So I'm not saying he could have beaten Andrew. Maybe if he was a little bit sharper, I don't know. But it seems like this year he's going to be a lot more conditioned, probably as big as full as he needs to be. However, Andrew also made a lot of progress, so if Andrew nails it, Andrew is going to beat him for sure. I don't see Derek Lunsford really losing to James, nor Samson Dauda, but the other guys, former Mr. Olympia, Brandon Curry, former Arnold Classic winner and runner-up at the Mr. Olympia, William Bonek, Sean Clarida, the 212 Mr. Olympia winner. If James beats all of them and actually places fourth, that would be a huge achievement, and I think that's possible. Whatever you guys think, tell me down below. Alright, and the last physique update that we got is from Sam Sulek at 1 week out of Arnold Classic as well. Amateur, yeah, but still. Arnold Classic, and now you guys can tell me, why are you talking about Sam Sulek even? He's not even a bodybuilder, a competitive bodybuilder. Now he's a competitive bodybuilder, and I can talk about him as much as I want. There is nothing you can do about it now. Anyways, at 1 week out, actually 8 days out of the Arnold Classic, this is what Sam looks like in the leg department, and that was the biggest criticism he received from pretty much everybody on the internet and also from all the judges. As he said, he wasn't really posing well with his legs and he wasn't showing the separation, the details in the quads. Now, was this a posing issue or was it simply his genetics? I don't know. I do think he needs to put on more size on the legs, and as far as the separation, here, like, you won't be able to see them anyways because this is after he did a pump workout for his legs, which is something guys do. I do that pretty much every year. 1 week out, I don't train legs very hard, because when you do that, the inflammation might last those 7 days. Some guys train legs really hard, like 10 days out. Some guys train legs really hard 3 days out, the ones who are having issues with the fullness of the legs. I have dominant legs, so I'm trying to just have as much separation as possible. So I train legs very hard 2 weeks out, and then 1 week out I do a light pump workout, and that's what Sam is doing. I don't know who gave him this advice, but it's a good advice. So here he kind of has a pump, and you know, when you have a pump you don't have a lot of separation, and also he's still holding some water after the show, and this is something new that Sam is experiencing, that post-show rebound period, when like after you dehydrate for the show, after that when you start eating and you start drinking water normally and everything, you blow up. You get watery as hell. You think you're fat, but you're really not. You're just holding a lot of water, and until you actually start depleting and water loading again, at like 4 days out, I think he's going to be dry the way he was before his first show, and I'm sure he knows that because somebody's probably guiding him, but I'm sure he's also panicking a little until he actually sees that his body is going to get rid of the water. He probably won't believe it. If you guys compete, you know what I'm talking about. So at this point, he is not going to look the most separated, again, because of the pump and because of the water retention. So it's really hard to tell whether he's going to be better in this area or not, but since he knows that that's something he needs to improve on, I believe it's going to be better. Now, as far as his upper body at this point, like you can see right here, he is definitely watery. I mean, not a lot, like he still has a lot of separation, conditioning is good, but you can see that film of water, like he looks a little bit faded, right? I know his pumps were amazing the past week. Those are the best pumps in your life right after the show. But at this point, he's going to start losing the pumps a little, getting drier, getting more conditioned. And we'll see. Maybe he actually peaks better for the second show. Some guys actually peak better when they do 2 shows 2 weeks apart. You know, sometimes the guys look the best at their first show. We'll see which one Sam Sulek is. If he does everything perfectly, I think he's going to look really good. Whether he's going to win a pro card or not, that's a good question. I have no idea, to be honest. It depends who shows up. Based on Stefan Kinsel, actually, he thinks that like amateur part of the Arnold is worse than most European shows. And I competed in a pretty good European show, William Bonner Classic, and I placed second. If Sam was there, I don't think he would have won a pro card. The pro card winner actually looked amazing. That guy looks crazy, a German guy. Maybe you have seen him on that ESN Instagram page or YouTube channel. They kind of promoted him a lot. Really, really classic lines. Like, this guy is built for classic and a lot of size as well. Decent conditioning. I was in better conditioning, but he had better lines for sure. And there is also Jesse James West on the right. Just joking. So the other class winners also looked great. This guy that placed first in my class ended up winning the overall. So I think if Sam competed in his class, I think he would have been probably like top 2 in his class. So if Arnold Classic Amateur is actually weaker, then there is a possibility that he's going to win the pro card with his name as well. It would make a lot of sense. If his posing is a little bit better, his quads show better separation, and if nobody super amazing shows up, he can win a pro card. It's definitely a possibility. What do you guys think? Tell me down below. If you guys enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more content like this, subscribe to the channel. And if you want a coach, somebody to help you get ready for your first show, or just for summer, or to help you put on muscle, DM me on Instagram. We can talk about that, guys. Thank you so much for watching. See you soon. All the best, and bye-bye.